All our behavior and our actions flow from our paradigm. Deterministic psychology tends to break out into three areas, three fields. Genetic determinism, psychic determinism, environmental determinism. Genetic determinism basically means your grandparents did it to you. Yeah, I have a short fuse. It just seems to go through generations. My father has one, and his father. Yeah, I'm a night person. Yeah, whole family is. Don't talk to me in the morning. I'm not pleasant. This has come through the generations. You see, what if I had a predisposition because of my genetic makeup? Okay, that is the stimulus. Between that and our response to it is our freedom to choose our response. So what would we do? We'd adopt a lifestyle so that it didn't activate that genetic tendency, so that our lives were not made dysfunctional from it. Now, this isn't to say that we are not genetically powerfully influenced. It is to say that we are not genetically determined. And the difference between being influenced by and determined by is 180 degrees. Psychic determinism means your parents did it to you, not your grandparents. It didn't come through the DNA necessarily, the chromosomal structure of the DNA. Your parents did it to you. It's the way they raised you. It's very Freudian. Child is father to the man. That means the first few years of childhood, how you were treated and raised, how you were rejected, how you developed deep psychic wounds from those abuses of one kind or another, so conditioned your emotional makeup, your personality, as to last a lifetime. The child is father to the man. And many have heard, once you're 6, 7, 8, that's it. It's pretty much in concrete. There's not much you can do. Psychic determinism. No question those forces powerfully influence us. In fact, for the first several years of life, until the time of self-awareness around 7, 8, 9 years old, there is no separation between stimulus and response. So that whatever stimulus went in here went right into the response. And the psychic scarring is there. The genetic tendencies are there. As soon as self-awareness begins to take place, there's a separation. This space, this freedom and power to choose. Then those tendencies are still there. So we're powerfully influenced by genetic and psychic forces. They're there. But we still have this space. We could behave in ways that might even possibly erase these. Or if not erase them, subordinate them. Eclipse them. Render them non-functional. They still may be there to some degree. Possibly they could be erased through different kinds of therapies. The point is, you still have this freedom to choose. Even if it's that much, work on it. This whole idea of I am a product of something, instead of I am the programmer that chooses my response to that product. Environmental determinism basically means that your spouse is doing it to you. Your boss is doing it to you. Your culture is doing it to you. Environmental determinism embraces the whole concept of external cultural influences. Again, without any question, we're influenced by those factors. They need to be factored in, but not determined. That's why habit 1 is the habit of personal vision. You can choose your response by the exercise of that freedom, that power to choose, the highest of the powers. In that space are 4 human endowments. self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and independent will. Frankl could envision himself. He could see himself in a whole different situation. A company can envision its future. That's why they say the essence of leadership is vision and the ability to create a culture around that vision so that there's commitment toward that vision that is common, so that everyone exercises collectively their imagination. Even though they have this awareness of the swamp-like culture they're in now, they're aware, see, self-aware. They stand apart and can examine. If we live out of our memory, we're tied to the past and to that which is finite. When we live out of our imagination, we're tied to that which is infinite, has unbelievable potentiality, because we barely scratched what is inside of us. And then independent will. We can act on that imagination. We can act on that conscience. The universal conscience. The universal conscience of all mankind. And we can act upon it. We could swim upstream. We could go against the current. You need all four human endowments to optimize. Self-awareness is not sufficient. In my opinion, it's focused on too much. The constant exploration of one's past and the psychic and social scarring that took place. Not that it is not helpful and useful. I think it is. But it is not sufficient. It gets imbalanced if you don't use your imagination to create something new, to find a new meaning, a new value, a new future, and to independently exercise your willpower to move toward it. But imagination is insufficient. Hitler was an imaginative person, but he had no conscience. He was very value-driven, but the values were not based on principles. It's self-awareness, plus imagination, plus conscience, plus independent will. The key is to take time to pause in that space, to tap into those human endowments. Self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and independent will. Then begin to act. Small, slow ways.